Hello, everybody, and welcome to the last minute of play in the third period. So, there's been a lot of debate about recruiting in U.S. college football. There's a belief that there's an inherent bias towards the Southeastern Conference, the SEC, that we have mightily talked about its overratedness.
I was going to say, you don't say, Kaley.
So, Alabama signed Blake Carringer. He's a 6'6", 315-pound Atlantic offensive tackle out of Grace Christian Academy. He was completely unranked before he tweeted out the offer from Alabama. He tweets out that he's received the offer from Alabama, and recruiting website Rivals immediately lists him as a 3-star recruit.
Okay.
Which makes him better than over 2,500 recruits currently in the system. There's just one issue with Blake Carringer. Does anybody want to guess what it is?
Okay, so this guy's played football his entire career, right?
Sure.
Okay. He's 3 out of 5, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
It's a 5-star system.
He was unranked, unknown before this. He gets signed by Alabama. Rivals immediately makes him a 3-star prospect.
Is he accepting an offer from another professional sport?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm stumped.
Want to take another get at it?
Not really.
I think this.
What?
High school students created this person. His Facebook profile, his Twitter, everything about him is fake.
Okay.
Rivals ranked him as a 3-star recruit just because he tweeted that he'd received an offer from Alabama. And that tweet got forwarded to Rivals.
Really?
So just the information that he'd received an offer from Alabama, no video evidence, no proof, nothing, was enough for Rivals, the most trusted site in prospect media accrual, ranked him a 3-star prospect.
So they didn't even think to look this guy up.
Yep. Yeah, there's no bias towards the SEC at all.
Nope. None whatsoever.
I liked how we played. Obviously some adjustments we need to make on the penalty kill, but other than that, I thought 5-on-5 we did a good job, and they're a good team, so you expect to push back, but I like how we kept it together, and we had some good chances, and we buried on ones that we needed to, and yeah, I thought it was a good game for the most part. Just a couple of blips on the PK, but we'll fix it and we'll be good to go.
What do you think you need to adjust to sort of gauge the momentum that they might have going into game 2?
Oh, we got to stay on the box first off. Right away we got to just get on them right away and have a good first period. We've kind of come out a little slow.
You're happy with your first tonight?
Nah, it was okay. We kind of hang in there. You expected a little bit of nerves. This first time they're playing at the next level in a playoff game, so you could expect those nerves, but I think now that we've gotten this one game under our belt, we can just come out and have the confidence. We have the momentum in our court, I think, and next game we just got to get back to it and just get an early one on them, or just get the momentum in their zone and work that puck and make the adjustments that we need to do, and then we'll be fine. I'm not really too worried about that, so I think that we just got to play our game and we'll be fine.
What was the biggest adjustment from last week where you lost 3-0? Intensity?
Yeah, definitely intensity. We had a really good week of practice, and we had a lot of really good talks and really just started to unravel, what we wanted to be and what our identity is going to be in the playoffs. So, I think we just got everyone on the same page, and everyone wants to do it for one another, and everyone wants to get Jen Bell some more games. Mm-hmm. And, at this point, I think that's kind of what they want to do, and they're playing for her. So it's nice that they're playing for her and Jacqueline. So it's nice that they're pushing forward for that.
Do you think her presence impacted the outcome tonight?
Absolutely. She's such a good, strong leader that her advice and cheering on the girls, it definitely helps, and she sees the game a bit differently, so just even quick advice on the bench and stuff like that helps. And she's a phenomenal person, and you can't just look at her and you want to play for her. So it's nice to have that figure right there that's going through her 5th year of eligibility, cheering you on, patting you on the back, because she just wants to be out there as much as anyone else.
She didn't see this.
No, she didn't.
But she was dressed.
Yeah, she was dressed.
So were you just buying some? Were you going to use her if you needed her type?
Yeah, pretty much. we don't want to rush it, I guess, in a way. Like, you know, she could play, but, you know, with her, we want her to be 100%, and her at 75% is still pretty good. So we just want to wait and see, and unless we have to, like, I thought that we were in a good spot all game, that we didn't necessarily have to use her. So, yeah, like, I think we're just going to hold on to her right now, let her continue to heal and rest, and so she's good to go at 100%.
Talking about
when we need
returns,
her.
Elena's first game back.
Yeah, she was awesome. You know, like, you could see the jump of energy, and she just wanted to be back. It's funny that last game she came flying into my office and said, "I play next weekend." I'm like, okay, yeah, sure, but no, she was awesome. She really picked it up, and she just having that third line center is, you know, we're not really deep down the middle, so having that down the middle allowed Paige to play really well with Maya and Hallihan, and finally we got some secondary scoring from them.
Paige was the first player you signed for this program. How do you feel about scoring the winning goal in the first playoff?
You know what? Like, her on the bench is probably why we could get regrouped really quickly and back on it. You know, like, you talk about a kid who's just a natural born leader. That's what she's doing on the ice, and the fact that she could step up and score a big goal is what leaders do, and it's nice to see her finally take that next step forward. And she had a hell of a game. She played so awesome. Her line and just everything, I thought, was really well done and well executed tonight. So I'm excited for her. I think that's big for her to get that, and yeah, it's good for her.
That was UNB women's head coach Sarah Hillworth. Media scrum after UNB women's program's first playoff win in 13 years, just shy of 13 years. They beat UPEI last night 3-2 in a game that was the worst game they'd ever played, the best game they'd ever played, and then just okay.
Yeah, and then a little bit of a mushy middle.
Okay.
So, if anyone doesn't know, last game of the season, UNB played UPEI and lost 3-0 in a game where they essentially got manhandled for 60 minutes. Mm-hmm. And the first 5 minutes of this game looked like much of the same, except for, like, literally we were doing the ad break for Bell.
Okay.
To start the thing, like, you know, your broadcast has been brought to you by Lion. UNB almost scored in the first 15 seconds. I was literally in the middle of doing the ad break and had to cut it off to call a scoring attempt and then finish it. Mm-hmm. Then after that, UNB stunk for 5 minutes.
Well, you could tell that they had a bit of urgency in their game.
But they weren't good.
They weren't good, but yeah. I think they knew they had to be good.
Do you know what the shots were in, like, those, like, first 5 minutes,
like,
or so?
9-3.
Really?
Yeah, like, UPEI was just pelting them from everywhere, and yeah, no, it just wasn't good.
Game started to even out a little bit. At about the 10-minute mark of the first period, UNB catches the lucky break. Mm-hmm. Hannah Green wires up for a slap shot from the point. It hits Lillian George in, like, the shoulder, pops straight up in the air, and you get to watch UPI goaltender Camille Sugar track the puck from her butterfly as it pops over her head and lands in the net.
Okay, so it's kind of like a lucky kind of fluke goal.
Oh, yeah, absolute fluke.
You know what it kind of reminded me of? You know when you're watching baseball and they're going back to the wall? And like, you just sort of watch it sail over the wall? That's what it reminded me of.
Yeah. That kind of reminds me of, again, I think it was the first playoff series that, like, Crosby and the Penguins were ever a part of.
Okay.
When they got eliminated 4-1 by Ottawa. That was a long time ago, as you can probably guess.
So many moons ago.
But, like, the first goal that Fleury ended up allowing was just a tip by his own player that, like, just like the biggest arc over his head and into the net. So yeah, just okay. So 1-0 UNB after one period.
And then, well, this is the key thing is, after that point, UPEI was clearly trying to stay as the team that was ahead, but the loss of momentum just crippled them. Mm-hmm. From that point on, UNB dominated them until pretty much the third.
Okay. Yeah, because we got it was 12-8 shots in the first period for UPEI, and then 14-7, so a pretty dominant second period by UNB.
And the 7 UPEI shots weren't good.
Mm-hmm.
No, they were not high-value opportunities.
Yeah. And then you go into the third period. UPI outshoots 11-4. Is that more score effects, or is it bad defensive play, kind of sitting back?
So
both.
Here's the deal. In the second period, UNB scores 2 goals. The Paige Grenier goal, we're not going to really talk about. That was just Grenier gets to the top of the circle in the power play and just rips it.
Okay.
It's a great shot. The goal that I think was the key one was the Stratton goal. Because literally Stratton and Keller go into the corner to fight against 2 UPEI players. I can't remember which 2 it was. Which 2 Panthers it was. They go into the corner, and Keller chips it out of the corner, and what ends up happening is it comes out to Stratton, who just walks in front and scores.
Yeah, she had all the time in the world.
Like I don't think there was a single defensive player within, I don't know, maybe 3 feet of her in every direction.
Yeah.
So she just rips it.
Cool.
And then
So that makes it, what, 2-1?
2-0.
2-0 at that point?
game becomes 3-0 when Grenier scores. We go to the third period, and me and Sean almost jinxed them because we pointed out that Kendra Woodland doesn't let in 3 goals very often.
Yeah.
And in the first period, we mentioned that they had to be careful of giving Kristen McIntyre any space. She's a defenseman for the Panthers. She's a very, very good shot from the point. Mm-hmm. Period starts. UNB takes a terribly boneheaded penalty.
Okay, so which penalty is this?
Wait. Which penalty was the first one and the third? You have the box score there, right?
Yes, I do.
Because the McLean penalty was the bad one. Was that the first one?
That was the first penalty in the third period.
Yeah, so McLean takes a terrible interference penalty
Yeah,
on Emma Weatherby.
Forgot about that.
Where she absolutely doesn't need to take the penalty. It's just an atrocious play as a defenseman. UPEI is the second best power play in AUS, despite the fact that the team's overall not that great. Mm-hmm. They get a chance on the power play. McIntyre winds it up, takes a slap shot. Kendra's in the perfect position to make the save. Jelena Gillard virtually stops the puck. She's trying to tip it, but her stick's not in the right position, and she drags the puck to like a screeching halt, essentially. But it changes the angle just enough, and it has just enough that it trickles across the line to Kendra's right. Mm-hmm. Scores 3-1. So UPEI now has momentum and forces UNB on the back foot, and they take another penalty.
Yep.
And then UPEI scores again on the power play. And then, the game was a lot of UPEI. But I think if they hadn't scored that first one, the game would have been all UNB. Mm-hmm. I think it was entirely a momentum thing where they scored, then UNB took another penalty, and then they scored.
Yeah. Well, it came down to like a lot with like the special teams and everything like that. Because first period, I got the penalty summary here. No penalties between either team in the first period. Two UPEI penalties, 1 UNB penalty in the second. And then UNB allows 3 to UPEI's 1 in the third, and they score on 2 of them.
Yeah, and the third UNB goal is also a power play goal. It was Grenier's goal. And the interesting thing about that power play goal was UPEI was on the power play and took a penalty with 20 seconds left in it.
Yeah.
And then UNB scored after they got the man advantage afterwards.
Yeah. So, like, the main thing is like don't take penalties, and you can easily, like, shut this team down.
Yeah, the Panthers rely very much on the man advantage because they have a lot of really good weapons, but they're not great at generating space.
Yeah.
So if you give them space by taking a player off the ice, it's really easy to get beaten.
Yeah. And even, like, okay, the 3 penalties in the third period are bad, but, like, only 4 infractions to a UPEI's 3 throughout the entire game.
Yeah, I don't think either team played particularly bad. Refereeing in that game was really questionable.
Okay.
In a lot of respects. There was a big debate about Ashley Stratton was going in to recover the puck and essentially like bowled over Camille Scherger, who came out of the net to play the puck. Mm-hmm. And there was no penalty called, which was probably the correct call because Scherger sort of injected herself into the play, but people weren't happy about that call. And then like almost immediately after that, UPEI took a penalty.
Was that the one that Stu or UMB rather capitalized on?
I want to say yes.
Because what it seemed to me was that after Stratton clipped Scherger, UPEI just lost their minds and they were throwing the body and they were just careless with everything. Like, who cares? We're going to protect our goalie. And then you take a dumb penalty and then it resulted in the winning goal.
Yeah, it was a weird game in the second. And then there was a 2-minute cross-checking penalty against a UPEI player. I forget who it was. That in the booth we were like certain was going to be like 2-5-10.
Okay.
Because Tamina Keller got cross-checked in the numbers, like right into the boards. Mm-hmm. Like it was egregious.
Yeah, and no call or just 2 minutes?
Well, it was just 2 minutes.
2 minutes, yeah.
It should have been more than 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Easily.
So the basic thing is like, can you really like fault like again like only 4 penalties total for UMB, and like UPI ends up scoring on 2 of them. So what do? You tighten down and try not to allow.
I mean,
be more
disciplined.
Yeah.
Their power play is really good. You can't get the opportunity.
Yeah, that's true. But even like 4 infractions in one game, that's not like a really high amount. It's not like they took like 8 or 10 or something like that.
No, but the issue that you have is your team doesn't score. In 2/3 of the games this year, the 2 goals that UPEI scores is forcing a game to overtime or winning over you.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
you can't have 4 infractions. You need to have 0.
Okay. So
And there's some that I'm okay with. Like Amanda DesRochers took one that was essentially taking away a breakaway.
yeah,
It was a good penalty to take.
Yeah, it was an interference call in the second. And that's when they were on. This is the power play that UPEI was on. Then they took the penalty.
Yeah.
Sophia Van Dale took a cross checking.
Yeah, Sophie Van Dale, yeah.
negate it, and everything like
Yeah,
that.
and that was that the same cross? That has to be the cross checking penalty because that's the only cross checking penalty, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so that was the hit on Keller, which again, like because it sort of happened. I'm pretty sure that was the one that happened after the Scherger hit too. It sort of felt like a revenge shot, and it was kind of surprising they only gave them 2.
Well, and I think the referees also lost they lost control of the game a bit.
Oh yeah, for sure.
They did, and they have to be more careful when they go back to Charlottetown, because if they're not, it's going to get rough.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
it's chippy.
It really was.
So how do you see this? Do you think UMB pulls off the 2-0 sweep, or do you think UPEI rebounds and the Reds finish it at home?
I think UNB is the better team.
Okay.
They play way worse away from home. So that's a point in UPEI's favor. It's hard to say.
And the Panthers also have some momentum.
In the first 40 minutes, this was the Reds team that was competing with X in St. Mary's and St. Thomas. The last 20 minutes was the UNB team that was losing every game to Moncton and having a hard time putting away Mount A.
Okay. So a big thing here, Jen Bell was dressed on the bench, as Sarah mentioned in the interview.
Sarah mentioned in the interview, Jen was dressed,
Okay.
didn't play.
Okay. How are there other injuries? Are they...
Well,
is
Elena
there-
Wagstaff's back. She mentioned that in the interview. Julia Spitzig is still week to week. Emma Dow's done. Concussions.
Emma Dow's-
She's done for the season.
Okay.
She's shut down.
Okay. Is that like... Is it good to have like when you already have a couple injuries that are kind of like leaving your roster shorthanded? Is there like having Jen Bell on there? Like I get it's like a motivation factor and that sort of thing, but like isn't that taking up a roster spot that could be used for?
You don't have anybody.
You don't have. They got nobody else they can dress.
No.
Really?
That's the thing with this roster this year is that I think Sarah had 1 extra player at the beginning of the year, or 2 extra players at the beginning of the year. Jenna Heimer didn't come back to the program after Christmas, and Emma Dow got shut down for the year. You now don't have anybody to scratch.
Yeah. And why is it that they don't have like some sort of like reserve of spares or anything? Like this is a problem that multiple like AUS teams are running into. We'll run into a couple more here in a second, but
I think it's because it's a new program. Because when you're building something from the ground up, you can only build it so high.
but you can only have so many players on a roster. Like you don't have like people that are sitting in the box every night, do you?
I think it depends. Like I know St. Thomas has scratched 2 or 3 players every game this year,
Okay.
so they have that reserve. And I think there's certain. I'm assuming it's a scholarship related issue where you're only allowed to have so many players.
Okay.
But like the St. FX thing's egregious. They're missing like 5 guys, so of course they don't have a full roster. You can't be offering scholarships to 30 players to play 20 of them.
Yeah, that's true.
Offering scholarships to 23 players to play 20 of them, that's probably more reasonable. And the teams that do that have a couple of spares. In Sarah's case, they were building the program from the ground up, and they just don't have those spares yet.
But well, and that just takes time.
Because the only place that they have a spare right now is in net, where they have Jacqueline Purcell, who's not coming back, but they're probably going to recruit another goalie.
Okay. So is there anything else you want to touch on this before we get into the X and Acadia shenanigans?
St. Mary's plays Moncton tonight in the other series. Then both games have their game 2 on Sunday.
Okay. How do you foresee that going? What do you think?
It's hard to say.
I don't know. It's tough. That Moncton team's probably way better than a 6 seed. It just feels like they didn't really find their identity till late, and Audrey Bertome had a terrible first half of the year
Yeah.
for a goalie that we've seen play very, very well.
Wasn't there was a men's game last night too? Wasn't there? It was X and Acadia.
No, X and Acadia was Wednesday.
Okay. So they played
Thursday was the other quarterfinal series, which was St. Mary's and UPEI.
Yes.
Yes. No, because St. Mary's
No,
is the 2
yeah.
seed, UPEI and Moncton.
Yeah.
Okay.
Panthers men's team won game 1 in overtime
Okay.
in Charlottetown.
That's wow. So Panthers lead 1-0 over St. Mary's.
No, over Moncton. St. Mary's is the bye team.
Over Moncton. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then X beat Acadia 5-0 in what we assumed was going to be the Gong Show game, but there was a fight, and I think generally the game was okay.
That was just the last regular season game, right?
No.
Oh, this is a actual playoff game.
Yeah, their first playoff game was Wednesday.
Oh, okay. Are you sure? Are you sure about that?
Yes.
Okay. I'm just checking. Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. 5-0, 3-2.
Are you sure about this? Yes. Fact checks me anyway.
Yeah. Okay. So St. FX, St. FX has 1-0 lead. UPI has 1-0 lead.
I didn't watch the X Acadia game, but from what Sean was saying before we aired the show, there was a fight, and then otherwise the game was a hockey game where X dominated Acadia.
Yeah, like I was following Vic's tweets, and apparently it was a very tense game.
How many episodes are we going to plug that Twitter account?
Until he stops giving out fire information. He's done the best job of anybody covering this.
True.
Like all the national beats have pretty much just been the broad scope of everything. He's been literally breaking it down to every little intricate detail and everything. So
Anyway, the reason why this game's interesting is there was a bunch of extra suspensions.
yeah. So I'm just going to pull this up here.
Because the fight's an automatic one game, is it not?
Yes.
Yeah.
And you get another game if it's your second Moncton suspension of the year.
Yeah.
So likely that was a 2-game suspension for both guys involved.
I'm just trying to find what the actual. So Southam ended up getting an extra 5 games,
Yeah.
I believe, and I forget the ex-player that also had it. I'm just trying to look it up here.
And then both coaches got suspended for 2 rounds of the playoffs.
Yeah, well, they each of the coaches got an extra 8 games onto their original 2.
Oh yeah, it was the entire playoffs, pretty
Yeah,
much.
yeah,
Well,
pretty much.
second round's a best of 5 in men. So.
Well, we came down to it that both teams will be without their head coach and 3 players
until at least halfway through the second round.
until at least halfway through the second.
Maybe
round.
all the way to the finals.
Yeah, if they make it that far, because
X might. I don't think Acadia is going to.
no, but even X, if you're down that much and you have to play,
SMU.
if you have to play SMU, maybe you get by SMU with that handicap. I doubt it. If you end up getting UMB, which I'm not
They
sure
can't get UMB. They're the 3 seed, right? So
Okay.
they'll automatically play St. Mary's.
okay, so they'll automatically play St. Mary's.
That's the thing with the other side is UMB is the 4 seed. So I think deep down UMB is hoping that Moncton beats St. Mary's so they don't have to play St. Thomas.
No, that's women's. We're talking men's.
No, that's
here.
what I said. That's what
Okay.
I'm saying. That's what I said on the women's side. If you're UNB,
okay.
you're the 4 seed, so you're probably hoping that Moncton beats St. Mary's, so you don't have to play St. Thomas. That's the
okay,
benefit
fair.
that X has is if they win their first round play series, they know they don't have to play UNB. So they at least get a chance at making the finals in that they have the easier road.
Yeah. So they'll get to play St. Mary's. I guess if they get to squeak by that, they get a full rested roster against UNB in the AUS.
I mean, they get a nationals berth, which I think is more relevant because I'm pretty sure AUS is just a 2-team league this year.
Pretty much.
I thought they had to win out in order to get to nationals. I thought
No, in women's they do.
In women's
because
they do.
UPEI gets the other AUS berth, but in men's,
right.
it's
Yeah,
being hosted by
they have
Lethbridge.
wild cards
Yeah.
too.
yeah,
They have a wild card.
yeah.
Yes.
Is this the driving factor behind AUS's decision? Now, of course, you throw the book and make sure that none of this happens again. But suspending the coaches the length that they did, especially the amount of clout that Petal has and everything.
I think suspending Petal's a joke.
Why do you think? Why do you think so?
Because we know, and Vic's tweeted about it, and we've had inside sources, and our production crew for the UNB games gave us the inside scoop from them talking to production crews covering St. FX games and stuff. Apparently, St. FX has been getting grilled about stuff like this, Studnick in particular, for a while.
Oh, really?
Allegedly. And Vic said so too. And they've tried to put a stop to this previously, and it didn't work. So AUS is essentially suspending Petal for telling his players to defend themselves. from essentially a slanderous attack by the other team. Now, I don't care how you feel about physicality in hockey. I don't like fighting in hockey. I'll go on the record right now, at me, don't care. Yeah. If people are going out there and saying that about your players and AUS won't step in and do anything about it, stand your ground.
Yeah.
If they won't respect you unless you put two fists in the face, you beat the tar out of them. And I think an AUS suspending Petal is them saying, no, you can't tell your team to do that. He told his team to go out and stick up for their own honor. Yeah. You guys should have solved this problem months ago.
Yeah. And now AUS is basically just correcting its optics and saying like, oh, okay, well, they knew the risk of like taking that stand and everything like that. So we're not going to condone that. Like they're basically like solving a problem like 3 steps after they should have intervened in the first place.
They're essentially right now saying, you know, spare the rod, spoil the child after they've already done that, which is garbage.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with the suspensions on the players. You guys fought and you guys knew that was against the rules. And I don't have any ill will towards the players for standing up to themselves. I don't even have that much ill will towards Southam, who I think definitely crossed the line. But I mean this with all due respect. If AUS isn't stopping you, like the coaching staff could have stepped in at any point and definitely didn't.
Yeah. And by the sounds of things, he was, quote unquote, blissfully ignorant of the context of what, like, the greater context of what he said.
Yeah,
it's still something you don't say. That's still a line you don't cross.
The optimist in me wants me to genuinely believe that some of this stuff's a little older than Southam would be more aware of. You know what I mean? I believe him when he says that he didn't know before he came to AUS about Studnicka's past, because he's from, like, Alberta or whatever. Why the heck would he know?
Yeah, but if like it had already been addressed, like, and like
allegedly,
yeah, and AUS had like said like to other teams like, no, you gotta like stop this kind of crap and everything, and like the other teams have been warned like, do not say this kind of stuff to this player.
If the insiders we trust are telling the truth by saying that this has been an issue that they've tried to address previously, nothing's changed, the fault is entirely on AUS and on Acadia for not getting their players in line.
Yeah. Or not relaying that message strongly enough that you can avoid something like this. So anyway, all in all, with the suspensions and the way it like handicaps these teams for this, like I'm guessing like the hope is that, okay, you two both caused this, so we're gonna make sure neither of you get a national championship berth.
I don't know if that's inherently the goal. You see, this is where you're in like this really, really weird place where I don't think you would ever consider doing this, but there is an actual benefit if you're saying effects to throwing game 2.
What's that?
Because the longest suspension's 8 games. So if your first and second round playoff series go the distance, you have your entire roster for your final.
Yeah. Considering if you win the games that you don't throw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds like that's so dumb, and I would never recommend it.
Who would they draw in the second round?
St. Mary's.
St. Mary's.
Guaranteed.
And that's a winnable series.
Yes.
Yeah. And like they're not shorthanded for like the series that like they would absolutely get decimated for, because we saw it in the second last game of the season, which is against UNB.
Yeah. Because you still have an outside shot. I don't think anyone's beating Gardner's team. But you have an outside shot of winning an AUS title if you make the finals. Because the series is only 3 games, and goaltending is a thing that exists.
Yeah. And also, Gardner is a superstition. Now, I don't think he's ever thrown any games or anything like that. But, like, you got to think, like, last year, UMB won the AUS, lost to X in the U Cup. The year before that, St. of X won the AUS. UMB got the second spot and everything. And then UMB ended up winning at U
Do not suggest what you're about to suggest, because you know this is not a thing.
What do you mean?
Gardner would never suggest throwing a game just because
I said he's not throwing a game. I'm just saying, like, it's not going to be a big deal if UMB
loses.
If UMB loses the AUS, they genuinely do not care.
Yeah, they're not playing for the small prize. They're playing for the big one.
Yeah, absolutely. So AUS title, like, okay, like as long as we make it to the final, we get in anyway.
Yeah,
so.
It's not like women's hockey where your top seed's St. Thomas, and St. Thomas is playing for the big prize, but they're also playing for the small prize. They don't have an AUS title.
Yeah. So like, and there's no guarantees like they get to the U Cup final anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Anyway.
all right, I think we should move on from there since we are just at the halfway point of the show here. Do you want to talk a little bit about Cain and Ngannou first before we get into everything else?
Sure. Fight's going to be great.
Yeah, it's just gonna Cain's first fight in 5 years, 4 or 5 years. Something
Been a
like
while.
that. Mm-hmm. He hasn't been actively out of the fight game though, because I know he's been a constant wrestling partner for Daniel Cormier for his last couple of fights, getting him like prepared for fighters like Derek Lewis and Stipe, who are all like really good wrestlers, and that's what Cain and DC in their own right, like they come from that AKA gym, which of course Habib is from and everything like that.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's probably like if Cain wins this fight, he takes it to the ground early because Ngannou's.
Why does it feel like the media on this has been pretty late?
Well, I think the Ngannou hype train has kind of stalled because he hasn't been that impressive. Like after he fought Stipe, which he got absolutely outclassed
Yes.
by arguably the best heavyweight champion the UFC has had.
I don't think ever, but lately.
Yeah, but like he has the most consecutive title defenses in his reign and everything like that. So you have that.
Stipe, really?
Yeah,
Doesn't he only have like 3 though?
yeah. No one has ever defended the heavyweight belt that many consecutive times.
Oh, that's surprising.
Yeah. So there's that. Ngannou gets outclassed there, has that really boring fight against Derek Lewis, comes back. He avenges an earlier loss in his career to Curtis Blades. Like still doesn't look that impressive, like other than like the heavy hands and everything.
His rise was really quick, and the fall's been pretty quick too.
Yeah, well, the thing is his wrestling. Like that's the one thing. Like you can have he has the natural strength. He's one of the heaviest punchers in the UFC. But I think Cain is going to out-wrestle him in this one.
Fair enough.
So I think that's how it's going to go. NBA. Raptors signed Jeremy Lin.
Yeah, who's actually looked pretty good in his 2 performances since then.
No, I think it's good. And Masai Ujiri says he's an upgrade in many ways. So, like, I'll trust he knows what he's doing. But
I mean, I haven't seen any doubts. Me and Sean were talking that they've been using a really interesting roster configuration, which is that we thought Marc Gasol was going to start at center and they were going to move Ibaka to power forward. But because of Siakam's emergence as like this caliber forward, they haven't done that. They've been playing Gasol off the bench, just cutting Ibaka's minutes and playing Marc Gasol off the bench. And it's been working out really, really well.
Yeah.
And Jeremy Lin against... who was first game? I can't remember.
was it
now.
the Wizards?
No, but he had like just a tasty assist in that game where they even showed it on the highlight reel where he just like no look bounced past the other direction from where he was going. Like he literally steps left, cuts right, as he's cutting right, looking this way, bounce passes it backwards to Kyle Lowry for what might have been the easiest layup of Lowry's career.
Cool. Is Siakam most improved player of the year?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's easily
He hung
breakout
a
player.
40 spot like a couple nights ago.
Yeah, that was his first 40, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, they were talking on TSN's Instagram coverage, like the daily Instagram show that they do, that he has, I think...
Which is currently the best SportsCenter product.
Yeah, I watched that more than any other like sports broadcast and everything like that. Easy to consume, and it's actually pretty factual and accurate. So, or informative, I should say.
Factual.
Factual. Yeah. But he's like quadrupled his point total and tripled his like rebound total or something like that.
The improvement from last year to this year has been wild. To the point that he's a bona fide superstar. Ray Allen once said of Kobe Bryant that even Kobe Bryant would need 3.5 good players to play with him to win a championship. If Kawhi is your Kobe,
yeah,
you've got Lowry, you've got Serge, you've got Pascal, and you now have Marc Gasol off the bench. That's 3.5 good players.
Yeah. And do you count Lin as like another half?
I don't know. Jeremy Lin's a weird case where he had that really, really monster year for the Knicks and then had like a bunch of mediocre years, then was hurt, then was really hurt, then was really, really hurt, and is just now starting to get back. But he's good for 7 to 10 points a game, 5 to 10 assists a game, and a couple of rebounds, and that's really all he needs to be good for.
That's why you got him.
Yeah.
And the thing with him is he's been bricking from three since he came to Toronto. And that's not typical of him. His career three-point percentage is like 44% or whatever. So if he was even converting on 44% of his three-pointers up to now, he'd be averaging 12 or 13 points a game off the bench.
So it's more like, and again with Gasol coming off the bench as well, like you have a much stronger second wave like later in the game.
Oh yeah, you have a much better second unit. And you have to remember that Gasol, the whole thing with Memphis is the entire offense was built around him dishing from the post. If he's dishing it out to Jeremy Lin to shoot threes, if Lin can get his three-point touch going, that's a dangerous second unit.
Yeah.
Add in Van Vliet and Green, like who's like.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I guess there is Van Fleet and there is Green.
So you have Gasol at the post with three shooters to pass to.
Yeah, that's dangerous. And you just look at the whole roster, and it's a dangerous first unit, dangerous second unit, and they're gonna drop threes for days. It's Diet Golden State.
I actually like that comparison a lot.
Diet Golden State.
Yeah.
A little bit more aspartame you got to deal with.
Well, I mean, like Golden State's like the Splash Brothers, like their first unit is their three-point shooting unit. For the Raptors, that's not the case. The Raptors' first unit is just a good traditional offense. Get your players open, get your points where you can. The Raptors' second unit now is a three-point machine. They're putting their second unit out when they're down by 8 and they need to nail a couple of threes. Or Gasol can just skyhook people forever. Because, no offense, but he's posterized 2 guys since joining the Raptors with these, like, absolutely savage skyhooks. Where he's, like, defended perfectly and just see Gasol take one step and go up and just lob it over their heads.
I'm going to go on the record right now. I think this depth is good enough to convince Kawhi to stay.
Maybe. Gasol's got another
think
year,
it is.
too, which is helpful. And apparently he's been very impressed with Toronto so far. There was a talk like Jose Calderon lent him an apartment.
Yeah, so Jose Calderon lent him his apartment because apparently Calderon still has a place in Toronto after.
Yeah, he
all these
loves
years.
Toronto.
And also Jonas Valanciunas. Well, I guess it wasn't him to give, but like Lynn asked him for.
Yeah, Jeremy Lin, out of respect to Valanciunas and the contributions he made to the Raptors, asked Jonas if he can use the number, and of course Valanciunas being like the
stand-up
chillest,
guy.
illest, realest.
Yeah, yeah. No, let him have his number. Did you see that? It was like a photo of a Valanciunas Raptors jersey, and it had a bunch of duct tape all over the back, just except for the letters LIN.
Oh yeah, because it's in his name. Yeah.
And the same jersey number too, so it kind of makes sense. Speaking of former Raptors, Chris Bosh.
I don't care about this.
You don't
Read
care?
the statement if you want, but I think this is garbage.
Yeah. So he came out and basically like said his piece. I thought he had already said his piece before about why he left the Raptors. I just hadn't bothered to like search it or anything. He said it was just that consistency of just kind of underachieving a little bit, and really, quite frankly, not having any help. Free agents didn't want to come, and even now, I don't remember the last time Toronto got a big free agent signing. I guess his memory's kind of short. But there's taxes and customs, and they don't make it easy on you. I mean, it's small things like, hey, man, and forgive me if I'm going off on customs. I love you guys, but, man, we go in and out of the city a lot because, it's centrally located. So it's kind of a broken kind of weird statement for him to give, but...
I mean, when was the last big free agent signing for Toronto?
This past summer.
Who?
Kawhi.
That wasn't a signing, it was a trade.
Oh, it was a trade. Oh, he's talking about like actual...
Yeah, because DeRozan got traded for Kawhi, right?
Oh, right.
He's talking about an actual signing. I mean, I guess DeMar.
Coming.
Yeah.
But was DeMar as big when he was... What team was he with before?
He was drafted by the
He was
Raps.
drafted by the Raptors. His re-sign was huge.
His re-sign,
But
okay.
if you're talking about getting someone to come to Toronto,
Yeah.
it's been a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
It's hard.
I get... What was McGrady?
No, he was a Raptors draftee too.
Who am I thinking of then? There was another...
Vince Carter was drafted by the Raps, I think. Yep.
I thought it was someone... or Rudy Gay? Did Rudy Gay play for
Yeah, that one was pretty big, but Gay ended up being a bust as a Raptor.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean.
But
Like,
yes, the signing was big at the time. He was like Memphis's superstar.
So I guess that might be
He was
the
Marc Gasol's other man, right?
So I guess that was the only other time. So.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, Bosh is right. It is harder to be an athlete in one of these leagues and live in Canada. way harder.
Yep.
Because, your compatriots are making $20 million south of the border, and they're paying, like, a fraction of the taxes you pay.
Yeah. It's something that, like, not everybody considers, like, if you're just, like, a casual
That's
fan.
why everyone was so upset about the DeMar thing, was that DeMar was so committed to Toronto that he never wanted to leave, despite all the disadvantages of being an NBA player in Toronto.
Yeah. He wanted to be their guy. And now
And what's frustrating about it is, and maybe Kawhi being on the team is part of the reason why these trades could be made, but if the Raptors roster was the exact same place it was in now, except you had DeMar instead of Kawhi, I would still think you're a championship caliber team.
For sure.
If you still had Mark and Lynn and the roster was otherwise the same. The only issue with it is you don't get Green, because you got Green in the Kawhi trade, and he's been such a critical part of the team.
Yeah, that's true.
It's hard to say.
So moving on, NFL and CFL. Antonio Brown is leaving Pittsburgh.
Who cares?
Yeah. All right.
What a clown. Goodbye.
He's not the guy that was holding up. That was Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah, that was Le'Veon Bell.
Okay.
Antonio Brown was the receiver that was complaining he didn't get the ball enough all year. He's a clown. Okay. Thank you. Next.
CFL free agency. Bo Levi.
Also, Pittsburgh doesn't need him. Juju Smith-Schuster. Anyway.
CFL free agency, Bo Levi Mitchell is not going to the NFL.
Yes, he re-signed with the Stampeders, which makes them the Grey Cup favorites. Maybe. We'll talk about another team here that I think might actually have a better chance than them now.
Okay, BC Lions.
That's what I'm talking about. Okay. Yep, they get Carter, they get Riley back. They let Jonathan Jennings go to the Red Blacks, which is good for Jennings. He needs a fresh start somewhere. Yeah, that team's scary. I feel bad as a Rough Riders fan because the Lions have gotten much better, and the Stampeders got Mitchell back, and congratulations, you're now the third best team in the East easily.
Okay. Also, the Argonauts signed the best name in the
CFL.
Johnson.
Him the number 2, for God's sake.
For anyone who's not knowing, his name's Corey Johnson, but his nickname is Poop because he very candidly did an interview in which he revealed that he eats so much and spends so much time in the gym to keep himself bulked up because he uses the bathroom like 5 times a day, and it's hard to keep weight on.
Yeah,
which is hilarious.
Oh yeah,
they nicknamed him Poop, and he's pretty much owned it the entire time.
Yeah.
According to him, he said it's my favorite thing ever because people will make fun of him and just be like, "Oh, your nickname's Poop," and he's like, "Yeah, because I'm the."
That's
good
funny.
Good man.
I'm glad he plays for the Argonauts.
I was saying this so much as I was saying to Johnny before the show, it would be so perfect if he played well enough that he got offered an NFL contract by the Browns.
Oh
my
great.
God, no.
That jersey would sell so many.
Yeah, absolutely.
I never knew I wanted it so badly until this morning.
We should all get Poop Johnson jerseys.
I'd wear a Poop Johnson jersey.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I was joking with Johnny that you just get a custom one with the nameplate as Poop and the number 2.
Oh yeah. Okay, so we have about.
That's the thing is we talked about all those signings, but that's not people have been talking about. This is the first year that the CFL's legitimately had an actual free agent frenzy because it's always felt like a couple key pieces have moved around, but so many. All-star defensive end Jagara Davis signs with the Ticats. Deron Carter heads to the Lions. All-star safety Taylor Loeffler leaves Winnipeg to go play for the Alouettes. Poop Johnson, obviously. Mike Riley. The Red Blacks signed Boulay from the Alouettes. The Argonauts signed former Lion and Alouette running back Terrell Sutton to get some depth at running back. It's actually been a pretty crazy free agency to the point that, CFL.com 21 hours ago, takeaways from an unprecedented free agent class.
Yeah. So it's enough that people are actually getting kind of buzzed around the CFL.
Yeah, it's been a really, really good year, and it's also helped that they've inked all of those compete and trade deals with the Mexican American Football Association and the French American Football Association and German American Football Association to try to get these international players moved around. The Riders re-signed Zach Collaros and named him their starter for next year. We'll see how that goes for them.
And you got to think them keeping Bo Levi Mitchell and him choosing the CFL over the NFL just for the security reasons and everything.
Not even just that. The Alliance of American Football just started play too. So he had another professional league he could have gone to in the U.S. and he said, no, I'm going to stay in Calgary.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a huge notch in the belt for the CFL now. That, these guys could go and play in a spring league in the U.S. and never deal with Canadian winter.
Yep, for sure.
And they're choosing to stay in their CFL team with their CFL teams.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're telling me Mitchell couldn't get on an AAF roster, you're on drugs.
He'd probably be one of the first superstars for that league.
Nope, didn't want it. Wanted to go back to Calgary.
Yeah, he could be the face of the league in just one that's just starting up.
Yep. By the way, watch some of the first week of AAF. It's actually pretty good football.
Oh, really? Okay.
Giving credit.
Gosh, check it out.
So, how many teams does it have?
It's 8 teams. They're mostly in the South. Some of them share NFL markets, but they're mostly underserved markets. So, Alabama, Salt Lake City, things like that.
Oh, okay.
It's actually really, really good. And I know that I'm the only person who cares about this, but the league is very aesthetically pleasing. They're trying a couple of different things with color schemes and jerseys and stuff. And the coverage has been a lot of fun. And no, it's not perfect football, and special teams play for the first week was just atrocious, but that's something that comes with time.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's really, really cool. Also, Orlando's team is the best name.
Oh, yeah?
They're the Orlando Apollos.
Oh, man.
That's funny.
But yeah, no, it's genuinely pretty entertaining football. And I can't cheer against a team in San Diego after what happened with the Chargers.
Oh, yeah.
Chargers left, and the AAF were just here is your franchise.
Yeah.
And they sold out the first game, too. San Diego Fleet sold out the first game. Also, gray, dark gray, light gray, yellow as a color scheme.
All right.
I know, I'm the only person who cares about this stuff.
We'll move into NHL.
Ducks alternates are ugly.
Yeah, well, everyone knows
Hot take. And by that, I mean, ice cold take. NHL.
Yeah, NHL. Speaking of the Ducks jerseys, you guys saw that thing that I sent you about Brian Burke, how he was started the kind of Kickstarter to get the Mighty Ducks changed to Ducks.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Brian Burke hates fun.
He hates fun. More importantly, though, because I want to get through these in the next 6 or 7 minutes, that way we have about 4 or 5 minutes to talk about a little segment that I want to do at the end. Some milestones in the NHL. Joe Thornton passes Gordie Howe for the 9th most assists. And last night, with another point, he passed Timo Solani for 15th all-time in scoring.
What is that scribbling sound I hear? Is it a unanimous first ballot?
Yeah, exactly.
I was just about to say that.
No, whether he wins a cup or not, he's got to be up there. One of the most productive players in NHL history, especially in the assist column.
Even now, when he's 38, 39.
Yeah.
If he doesn't win a cup, he immediately becomes a front runner for best player to never win one.
Hey,
Which is funny because he'll be shortly joined by Henrik Lundqvist in the best players to never win a cup category.
Hey, Joe Thornton, you want to come sign a 1-year, $1 million contract with the Leafs? We got Marlowe. We can do it.
God, that'd be so nasty.
Well, apparently they almost got him the year that they signed Marlowe.
What's his cap hit right now?
It's
7, I
$6
think.
mil. I think it's just a 1 year $6 mil or whatever.
Come on, you made your money. Take a humongous pay
the
cut.
Sharks are a contender this year. Let's not pretend. They're now first in the Pacific.
But you know why he didn't come over?
In the Pacific, Kelly. Come on.
Yeah, that division's actually strong. Calgary, Vegas.
It's very
get-
top heavy.
Yeah, I guess. It is top heavy because it does fall off rightwards. But yeah, okay.
But no, place Vancouver Canucks.
I still don't think they beat Nashville. I'll still
Nashville's not even first in the Central.
Still, when you
Winnipeg, right?
When you get to the play, or even Winnipeg, one of the two.
Are we legitimately heading to a possible conference finals that features 3 Canadian teams? Because it's not that unrealistic for the Western Conference final to be Calgary, Winnipeg, and for the Eastern Conference final to have Toronto in it.
No,
It's not that far of a stretch.
Nope. I don't think so.
You asked for a year where all the Canadian teams were good, and you didn't get Edmonton and Ottawa, but the Canucks are competent, the Canadians are good.
I didn't say all of them. I just said, can we have most of the Canadian teams be competent?
Canucks are competent, Canadians are good, Leafs, Jets, and Flames are all excellent.
Yeah. Are your Canucks in a playoff spot right now?
They're currently
tied.
in 9th on games played behind, I think, Minnesota.
Yeah, behind Minnesota.
Okay. Just running through a couple more. Kucherov is now a point-per-game player in his career, 422 points in 422 games.
Yep.
Matthews scored his 100th career goal last night.
Good for him.
Good. Some kind of dumb news. Pasternak and Anderson suffer the 2 stupidest injuries of the season.
I feel bad for Pasternak. He just slipped. It's winter weather. He slipped in an elevator or whatever and broke his hand.
I think he just it sounded like he was trying to catch himself and his thumb went under it or something like that. Just a
They're
stupid
reassessing him in 2 weeks, which is NHL code for he's probably out for longer than that.
Yeah, so he's probably going to be out for 3 weeks to a month.
I mean, as long as he's back for playoffs, I don't think the Bruins care that much.
Yeah, but not even the stupidest one of the week with Craig Anderson from Ottawa taking a tennis ball to the eye somehow.
Somehow.
Yeah. I guess I wonder if he was doing the drills against the wall.
And just got distracting, got clunked in the face.
Yeah. But you had to be chucking it pretty hard for it to like affect your eye that much.
Not really. If you're not paying attention, your eyes open, it cleanly hits you in the eyeball.
I guess, yeah. So
I think the thing that's disappointing for Pasternak is I think it derails a very low key MVP caliber season.
that's fair.
Yeah.
And also Jamie Benn getting clotheslined by the linesman and almost putting him out for a significant amount of time. Luckily, he wasn't hurt.
I mean, you need to have a goofy week in the NHL at some time. We didn't have one. Oh, we didn't mention this for the NBA. All-Star Weekend's this weekend.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Young Stars game is tonight. All-Star Saturday night is tomorrow. Dunk contest.
Yeah. Is that even good anymore?
I like them.
Okay.
The thing with it is, this is the difficult thing with the dunk contest. Is it's been around for so long that you're waiting for someone to innovate.
Yeah.
But I don't want to miss it when they do.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
The thing is, I remember all these moments where people have done things I didn't expect, like Iguodala doing the double pump under the backboards after bouncing it off the back.
Yeah.
Or Aaron Donald friggin' going under both legs while leaping over the Magic mascot.
Superman.
Yeah, or that one. Or remember,
right.
he lost to Nate Robinson the next year
He dressed up as kryptonite.
because he dressed up as kryptonite.
Yeah, it was
which
great.
was so good.
Uh-huh.
And I love that stuff. That stuff is great. And the thing is, yes, so the era of like Vince Carter just doing a really impressive dunk is dead because that's not common, but it's boring. But like the flash part of it is great. Mm-hmm. Like no one's ever gonna beat like blowing out the birthday cupcake while dunking.
Yeah.
Like no one's ever gonna beat
that was
stuff
the best
like
dunk
that.
because that was the same dunk contest as Superman. I think that was the first one I ever watched, and it was
Well, the thing
arguably
about that
the
was
best
so
one.
impressive is that he dunked it gently enough that the cupcake didn't fall off the rim.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, so good.
That stuff's really cool. And people are just like, dunk contest's boring now. And I'm like, yeah, because you don't like having fun.
Also, like with the emergence of the internet, like I think it was Hot Ones was asking something like that to the last NBA. I think it was Blake Griffin when they had him on, asking like, "Oh, is the dunk contest dead?" And he's just like, "No, you can just see it on more platforms because like any schmuck with a YouTube account can like learn how to do a crazy dunk and you put it online and everyone sees it."
Anyway, back to the NHL. Sorry, I wanted to interject that really quick.
So just to one last thing before we get, because I think we'll save the trade talk and everything like that for closer to the deadline.
Yeah.
Malkin only getting one game.
Yeah, so... It should have been more than one. We were very angrily saying 5 initially. That might be a little much. Because when I first initially saw it, it looks like he just takes both hands and like two-handed like tomahawk chops at...
Matthew Raffle?
Raffle?
Yeah.
Michael Raffle.
Michael Raffle, sorry.
If you actually watch the video back, he does start the swing with two hands, but Malkin takes a hand off the stick. Almost like partway through the swing, he was like, wait a second.
Yeah.
But he hits Raffle in the head. Some people are saying he only clipped him. Sure, whatever. But there was an intent to brain the guy with a high stick.
Mm-hmm.
You know what?
Sure.
I don't think 5 games is enough. And
Okay.
No.
No. We're not having this debate. We've already said that we think NHL discipline's a clown show.
Well, okay, yes.
We're saying by the NHL's rules, should it have been more than one game?
Yes.
If it was a better question, if it was anybody other than a player of Malkin's caliber, is it more than one game?
Yes.
Then it should be more than one game for Malkin.
Gus Nyquist got 10 last year for it. Duncan Keith got like 7 for it one time.
Yep.
I don't know.
If you were a superstar, you play by different rules. It's garbage.
Yeah. So just to end off the show, because we have like 3 or 4 minutes left here before we have to go, I want to quiz you guys on what the most cost-effective players are.
Ooh.
So this is the least amount the teams are spending per point on these players.
Does this
Does
include
this count entry-level contracts?
Yes, it does.
Okay, so Elias Pettersson.
Okay, so it shows the top 9. This is a grid post on TSN. Elias Pettersson is at number 9.
Yeah.
They're
Marner?
paying $18,137 a point. The Vancouver Canucks are.
Marner's got to be pretty high on there.
Marner is number 3 with $13,346 per point.
Mikko Rantanen?
Mikko Rantanen is second with $11,922 per point.
Yeah, I mean, like all the high-scoring
Yeah.
rookies are going to be on this list, right?
Okay. So who else? So you got
Have we gotten every entry-level contract?
maybe. I'm not sure whether this guy is still on his entry level. I think he still is, but maybe not.
They'd have to be, otherwise, because their second contract would be big if they're on this list.
Yeah.
Braden Point?
Braden Point is number one.
Yeah.
Is number one.
Go figure.
The Lightning are only playing. Is that an entry level contract?
Yes, that's
Oh, I didn't
DLC.
realize.
I think he's up this year.
Yeah.
And he's gonna get paid.
They are only paying $9,537 per point. For Braden Point.
That's insane.
Okay, so you have the top three. You have 2 players from the East, 2 and 3 players from, or no, you have 3 players from the East, 2 players from the West. Left.
There's the West.
We have like 3 minutes.
Is Besser one of them?
Besser is not one of them.
No,
No.
not that efficient this year.
Johnny Gaudreau?
Goudreau is not on here. No.
I'm trying to think here, like, how many of these players are established superstars and not young guns?
They're all young. They're all young guns.
That's what I thought.
Except for one. Well, I guess kind of, and everything. But yeah.
Nico Hischier?
No.
Is Timo Meyer?
Nope.
No?
Yeah, this is a lot harder than you think because you have to think about
Yeah.
kids that are like overperforming, like an entry level type contract or a low end contract.
Yeah.
Dylan Strome?
Nope.
Max Domi?
Nope.
Jesperi Kotkaniemi?
Nope.
No?
No, Kakaniemi's not scoring that much. He started off really hot. Yeah, I think
Yeah, and
we're
he's-
probably not going to get any. We're going to feel really dumb. But
Okay,
we're not-
so these are the-
actually. hold on.
What division?
Oh, I can't think of them off the top of my head because I'm not really like that familiar with the realignment.
Can you
off
give
the top.
teams?
Pittsburgh, Chicago, Carolina, New York, and Calgary.
Chicago, it's Gustafson.
Nope.
No?
Nope.
Pittsburgh. Is it Jake Gensel?
Jake Gensel is
Jake
number
Gensel.
4. $14,119 per point. We got about a minute and a half
Number
to get.
5.
Number 5.
What team is it?
Chicago.
DeBrincat.
DeBrincat
Yeah.
is number 5. $14,414 per point. Number 6 is on Carolina.
Carolina?
What?
Aho.
Aho.
Okay.
$14,453 per point.
We went with the 2 Finns. One of them had to be right.
So you have Calgary and New York left.
Calgary.
The Rangers? Or Islanders?
Islanders.
Barzell.
Barzal is number 8, $17,986 per point.
Calgary Lindholm?
Nope.
Who else is playing with Gaudreau?
Monahan?
Nope. You guys are going to be so mad.
Is this a
No,
forward?
no.
This is a forward.
No. I'm
I
going
think
to
it's
get
a forward.
this.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to get this.
What is it? Come on. At 16,000.
Backlund?
At 16,228.
Is it Rasmus Anderson?
$28 per point. No, it is not Rasmus Anderson.
Backlund?
Nope. You guys are going to be so mad.
We're running out of time.
I know.
Running out of time.
Jankowski?
Matthew Tkachuk.
Really?
Yeah, $16,228 per point.
He's having a wicked season.
I didn't realize he was that high up. All right.
Yep. All right. So that about does it for the show.
Yeah. Thank you guys for tuning in on CHSR 979 FM in Fredericton. I actually don't think I did a call on We Came On because we cut right to the Hillworth clip. So
Yep,
whoops
absolutely.
for that.
You have been listening to Overtime.
You've been listening to Overtime Radio at CHSR 979 FM here in Fredericton. There will be a vidcast. We don't have any video. Johnny's usually is the one that takes care of the video equipment, and unfortunately Johnny is halfway to dead, so thank you for coming in today at all.
I'm on like just the back end of sick brain right now, so
You can catch us on Monday from 2 to 3, and the vidcast, we know they'll be up, we promise. Johnny is handling the editing with that, using some...
There's a long weekend this weekend. I know, I'm not going to jinx myself. Just we're good.
It's coming.
Okay.
It's coming.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, so we'll see you on Monday from 2 to 3.